on Instagram. That would be nice, right? All right, welcome to this welcome to another edition of Boundaries and Brotherhood. Last week I had a doctor's appointment for my heart doctor, my cardiologist. Doc's down there way in Florida, so it's going live on Instagram right now. We'll cut that out later, so that's going to be good. But today, you guys, since it's June, Men's Mental Health Month, today we're going to be talking about where does mental health come from and what clinicians call it the biopsychosocial model. And Boundaries and Brother, we're going to go look at as three pillars. Like we have the six pillars for what we go over with the SIR method that Doc created. It's going to be trademarked. But today we're going to go over the hardware, the software, and the environment. And as usual, Doc, give us what we're going to be going over for this short, brief period, and I'll get us all technically set up.
All right. So welcome, everybody. Again, this is Dr. Keith Fairclough, co-founder of Boundaries and Brotherhood and the founder of Freedom Change Success, my mental health practice. And so, today, guys, we're going to be talking about where mental health comes from, right? We're going to be talking about what causes poor mental health, what poor mental health looks like. And then we're also going to talk about how to go about changing that so we can have good mental health and show you what good mental health looks like. Because sometimes we might look on the surface and see that and say that, oh, yeah, I'm doing well, I'm okay. But underneath the surface, what's generating that level of okay is actually not okay. So we're going to get into that, as much as we possibly can within an hour. Obviously, this is an extensive subject, and we could probably take months and months to go over every aspect of it, but we'll try to cover as much as we can.
No, but that's really, really, really good because you got to look at the things like like Doc said, a lot of times you ask somebody else, oh, how are you doing? Oh, we're okay. I mean, that's just a manly thing to do because that's what we've been taught. But, the hardware, the biology, the genetics, the mental health starts in basically the physical body and not just in your head. Also, last week we did 2 weeks ago, we did how important it is to work out, you know what I mean? To get your physical things right and everything else. But today we're going to see how we're going to match it all together so that you can, it's like having a genetic blueprint. You just like you can inherit your dad's receding hairline or the obesity, or you can inherit deposition of depression or addiction. It doesn't mean you have to live it. You can actually do things about it. And that's what Doc's here for, because, he's been down this road. I've been down this road. You have ways to get out of it. In fact, one of our clients, and if you want to join our free community, you can see on the bottom right here, you can join our free community at go.boundariesandbrotherhood.com, where you're going to see our blog posts, the team, what we're all about. And guys, it's reaching out because a lot of people are reaching out. It's like, what happened to us last week? I said, I have to go to the doctor. Doc, take it away and talk about all the good points that you do.
All right. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about where does poor mental health come from? And this is critical. So if you don't listen to anything else, I definitely want you to listen to this, because if you don't grasp this part, you're going to end up doing the same thing to your children that your parents did to you unknowingly, right? Because poor mental health, it doesn't come from the school bully. It doesn't come from, the system. It doesn't come from any of those things out there. And this is the part that I think it's hard for a lot of people to really accept, because then you have to look at yourself as a parent and say, like, dang, I did this to my child. But it comes from the home. It comes from mom and dad. Right. And whether, and sometimes even if you're not there, obviously that plays a role as well. But that's where it comes from. Right. When we're younger, right, because no one's born with, mental health issues. Right. Not really. Aside from genetic defects and things like that, no one's born with bipolar. No one's born with generalized anxiety disorder. No one's born with all these things like that. I know we always want to look to science because we want a reason where it's not us or it's not where we came from or something like that. We always look for some type of outside thing to prove that, oh yeah, it's not me, right? But the fact of the matter is, those things are created through dysfunction when we're younger. They're created when we're dismissed time and time and time again. Every time your child tries to play with you, you were trying to play with your father or your mother or something like that. And they said, not now, not right now. Stop being annoying. Go sit down and be quiet. Speak when you're spoken to. I'll give you something to cry about. Stop. When you keep getting dismissed and invalidated over and over and over and over again, your brain has to learn what to do with that hurt and that pain. And no one's taught you how to do it. Right. So you wonder why you start acting out in school. You wonder why you start, you're in school and you start shutting down. You wonder why you're not connecting. You wonder why now you're the bully, or now you wonder why you're being bullied and all these things like that. And I will say this, while yes, a majority of it does come from home, sometimes it comes from school as well. Right. Because there's some teachers that will look at a child who, might just have a lot of energy or may not learn how everybody else learns. And then you demonize, they have a problem, throw them on some medication, things like that. They talk too much. Instead of trying to work with that child and recognize that, hey, how can I use their uniqueness, to their benefit, right? Maybe I can make them a class helper, whatever the case may be, but they don't do that, right? It's sit down, shut up, be quiet, speak when you're spoken to, boom, 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 boom. I've even had people say like, dang, the school system is kind of similar to like the prison system to a degree, right? I'm like,
yes, I believe
it's kind of true, right? But in any case, I don't want to go too far off the reservation. I want you to think about your childhood, right? Think about your childhood. Think about, were my parents there and pouring in? And don't try to give them a pass either, right? And don't try to give yourself a pass, because this isn't about demonizing anybody, because you don't know what you don't know. Right? How many times have we heard, or even us said, like, I came up fine. My parents didn't do this and I came up fine. And I've never met a person that said that actually was fine. Never, ever. I've never met a person that said that, right? Just because you make money or have a nice house doesn't mean you're fine, right? There's a reason why you've been divorced 2 or 3 times. There's a reason why you've been hospitalized. There's a reason why you're on the bottle. There's a reason why you're smoking weed. There's a reason why you're doing these things. There's a reason why you can't have a healthy relationship. There's a reason why your kids aren't talking to you. I promise you, you're not fine, right? And it stems back to when we're children. It stems back to the dismissal, the invalidation constantly. I just want you to think about that, because there's some of us at work where we experience that dismissal and invalidation over and over and over again. And what do we say that is? Well, that's a toxic work environment. That's a horrible boss. I can't wait to get out of there. I hate this place. Now I want you to take that same type of behavior and put it into your family and say, dang, that's the same thing I experienced. Whenever I try to express something, it got shut down. Whenever I try to express an emotion, I got invalidated. I got made fun of. I got ridiculed. Whenever I tried to share my side of the story, I got shut down and I got beat. And so now you wonder where all this comes from. You wonder why, I wasn't talking with my parents. I stopped talking to them. I stopped going to them. Because guess what? Why would you go to someone who's continuously invalidating you? Why would you go to someone who continuously ridicules you? Why would you continue to go to someone who continuously dismisses you and screws with your mental health and makes you now you're depressed. Now you're anxious. Now you're a people pleaser. Now you're aggressive. Now you're doing all these things. Now you're feeling all these emotions. You don't know what to do with them. So either it's going to explode and it's going to explode on other people, or you're going to start internalizing. I got to drink this away, right? Because you start meeting with your friends and like, hey, I got something that can help you, man. You're feeling this way? Hey, take this drink, smoke this, inject that, snort that. And guess what? That stuff makes you feel good in the moment, right? So you wonder where, a drug addict might come from, or alcoholic might come from, or a domestic violence person might come from, or someone who's highly aggressive, or someone that's super passive. You wonder where these people come from. That's where it comes from. It comes from that continuous dismissal and invalidation, and you're not enough. And if you're not performing at a high level, then I'm not going to give you any praise. I'm not going to validate you. I'm not going to give you that love. It comes from that. And it spawns all those different things. Just that, not being validated, not being dismissed, all the mental health issues that we're experiencing, it comes from that. I have not worked with a client where we go back into their past and that didn't happen. Not one client, not in me, not in my clients, not in my wife, not in Gordon, not in any single person I've had a conversation with that they said, you know what, I was completely validated and heard and understood, and I was completely accepted, and I was never dismissed, and now I have all these mental health issues. I have all this trauma. I received all this love growing up, and it was done the right way, and I was given autonomy, and I like to be my authentic self, and now I have trauma. I never see it. I was dismissed, I was abused, I was abandoned, I was neglected over and over and over for years and years and years. The horrible things happened to me, and no one even tried to protect me. And so, there's no reason. Now you know why you have that trauma. Now you know why you struggle in relationships. Now you know why you're people pleasing. Now you know why you're hyper aggressive. Now you know why you're hypersexual. Now you know why you're drinking and you're smoking and you're injecting, or you're homeless, or you're whatever. That's where it comes from. And the reason why I need you to grasp this, because some of us are doing the exact same thing to our children, and we don't even know it. We think you're trying to make, father's trying to make your son, I'm trying to make him a man. I'm trying to make him a man. Stop crying, rub some dirt in it. What are you doing? Do more, this and this. That's not enough. I'm trying to make a man out of you. I'm trying to make a man out of you. No, you're destroying him. You're destroying your son. You're destroying your son. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're creating the same patterns that destroyed you. That's the same. And then you wonder why he doesn't want to talk to you. And you wonder why he doesn't want to connect with you. I said it before, and I'll say it again, Gordon. People always make up this excuse. Oh, they're going through their teenage years. Oh, they're just being teenagers. No, they're being humans who, for the first 13 years of their life, were dismissed and invalidated. And they were taught that my thoughts and feelings don't matter. They don't count. I don't matter. So why am I going to talk to the people who make me feel that way? Why am I going to open up to somebody like that? Of course I'm not going to open up to somebody like that.
No way.
Yeah.
Even if you had that luxury. Yeah. Even if that isn't a luxury, you wouldn't even do it, because you would just be, just to show, because the psychology and the psychologically and the psyche and the upbringing from when you was below 10 years old, how you survived your childhood is exactly how you handle stress today. Right. Yeah. I can attest to that, because how in my personal story, right? I had a real father that was passive, and I had a stepfather that was aggressive, and I had a mother that didn't back me up. In fact, she still didn't back me up after unto this day, where it's like she still take a different path. Then you wonder why, because I always wonder why was I so screwed up, right? But then when you think about this, and this is why I'm so heavy into this boundaries and brotherhood, into the real talk, working with Doc and doing this, because I wanted to know why I kept going in and out, being a drug addict, being certain things, because I was never validated. I was never loved. I was never given the things you're supposed to have, like how I give my children now, because I had to break the cycle, because even I have to take myself out of the whole situation from my family, because they could be toxic for them, because they would get confused.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't do it because the core beliefs that you have now, this is why my kids can be rambunctious. They can be animated, they can have energy. They can do what they do because they're comfortable. Right. Because when they get comfortable, they're going to be stages where they're going to turn into, say, not just little kids. Now they're going to turn toddlers, then going to a certain age. And I'm preparing for these things, because the trauma and scars I had, they don't deserve to have them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If I'm hearing you correctly, because they might be misbehaved now, but they're supposed to. You mean they're supposed to be in a way so they can express themselves, make a mess over there, color on their baby, do all their good stuff, cry, do all the things. Do I get frustrated as a father? Of course I do. I'm human also, but they don't deserve the trauma I've been through, and I have to catch myself for that, because without that, with their upbringing that they have now, I don't want it passed down that what I went through. Right. And then that's what we want for you guys, because for all the people that's watching this on the live replay, it takes a lot to know this stuff, to tell you the truth, but to actually implement it into your daily life, so that the bigger ramifications doesn't happen for your family, is what we're all about. Because you ever, you think about it, right, Doc? If you're isolated as a man, then you wonder why you turn to the bottle, why you get angry, why you looking for some sort of validation from everybody else but yourself. What do you expect is going to happen? Right?
That's a great point. That's a great point. That's a phenomenal question. Like, what with all that dysfunction that you grow up with, and then society perpetuates, what outcome do you think is going to happen? Right? if I throw my clothes in mud and oil and grease and dirt, and I'm not pulling out a clean white shirt. I'm not pulling out a clean white shirt. I'm just not. But if we keep doing that, and that's what happens. That's what was our upbringing, right? Our parents thinking they were doing us a favor with all the stuff that they were doing, making a man out of us and things like that. You didn't do us any favors, right? And again, this isn't like digging at them, because of course there was some good stuff that came out of it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're not gonna be completely dismissive of that. But today we're talking about where mental health comes from, right? When poor mental health comes from, and then how do we get to good mental health? And this is where it comes from. And we have to have the courage to face it. We have to have the courage to face, like, while I love my parents or respect my parents, they didn't have it all together, right? They didn't validate me. They didn't, they dismissed me. They weren't there for me like that for whatever reason. But here's the thing. It's like, a lot of times it's like, well, dang, I don't want to like really dig in on my parents. But the fact of the matter is, as a parent, whether you know it or not, you have a job to do, period. Point blank, end of discussion. Your job is to raise an emotionally healthy a child, who could be a productive member of society. And your job is to make sure you cultivate them. You are teaching them from the day of age 0 to the age 18. So according to what you were saying about your kids, and like they can be rambunctious and things like that, kids are supposed to be like that, right? Our job as parents is to, okay, well, that's a little too much. It's a little too far. Let's just take it back in, right? Hey, we're in public. You can't be that loud. The kids their job is to really push against the different boundaries to see, because I'm trying to understand how to operate in the world, right? So our job as parents is to allow them to be themselves, but understand, okay, these are the guidelines. These are the boundaries. So it's this job of teaching and pouring into. So it's not automatic, right? People want to talk about, oh, my kids, they're always on their tablets. They're always on their phones. They're always on this. They're always on that. Are you taking them outside? Did you, when they were growing up, did you take them outside? Did you introduce them to sports? Are you working out with them? No, Keith, but you understand, it's so hard out here. I got to work all these jobs. You didn't know it was hard out here before you had kids? Let's keep it a stack. You didn't know it was hard out. It's been hard out here. It was hard out here in the 2010s, the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, all the way back to Adam and Eve. It's been hard out here. Ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new. You didn't know you didn't know laying down with the woman and sleeping with her was gonna have kids. Like, this is all brand new information to you. Like, so we got to step back from the excuses and be like, hey, listen. And that's honestly, Gordon, probably the hard part about it, right?
You hit the nail right in the head.
I think exactly, right? I mean, because this is probably the hardest part of it, right?
The hardest part.
Because there's probably a lot of guys out there that probably have their own podcasts and videos, and they want to go mentor other people, and rah, rah, rah. But the moment you start saying, you know what, the way you came up was messed up, and also you're messing up your kids, right? But what you're doing, that's a hard pill to swallow, because that's a pill I had to swallow. And I'll be honest, like, it wasn't even like extreme stuff that I did, but just to recognize that there were moments in their childhood, where I did dismiss them. I didn't validate them. I didn't spend time with them. I wasn't doing those things. I had to eat that and own that. And that was a hard pill to swallow. But really how can we make progress forward? How can we change and improve our mental health if we're not owning those things, owning our behaviors, owning that, okay, this is where it came from. And while, yes, my parents, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Now it's now my responsibility to heal that hurt, to heal that trauma, so I can move past that point. Right? Because if we're talking about, okay, improving our mental health and moving from poor mental health to good mental health, then we have to take that responsibility. And then also, and I want to take a pause here, because we'll go into the next thing of really talking about, what the poor mental health looks like specifically, and then also how that can mimic good mental health. So, but I'll take a pause. And Gordon, I don't know if you want to speak anything.
You hit the nail on the head, because I had to take accountability for my own action too, the same way. Because if I don't do it, I might give them the digital. Like, I had the best compliment, said, "Oh, your kids are not digital kids." I said they're digital kids when I need to get something done, but I also want to give them their time of day with me, because I'm what they got. Because at the same time, you got to think of it. I look at it as this way, right? Catastrophic events do make some of your trauma, but it's a death of a thousand cups. It's all those small ones that you
Yeah.
didn't address that makes it worth the while. Because okay, dad might now go swim with him in the pool. How is okay? I'll go in the next day. Like yesterday, I took them to the park, the water park. We flew airplanes. Then we did some experimental stuff, science stuff, and then okay, it's wind down time. Okay, go in the pool, and then he jumped on my knee, hyperextend my knee, and it's like, oh, dad's knee's done, so we have to stop. But the core beliefs that life has taught you is they need to create their own. You're as only good as what you provide for them with the tools you have, and not to repeat that cycle because it's wrong, right? It's going to screw them up now because you already been down this path. So this isn't about having the catastrophic event that could happen, but it's like there's those small ones that build up that can change the direction, the path, the confidence, the level that has taught you to build that wall later on when you get to an adult. I mean, we can go down this whole other thing about the alpha male bullshit and all this other crap because society is you could have all of this, but if, like I said, you could have the best computer in the world, but you throw it in the water, it's still going to break.
Yeah.
So, it's going to crash regardless. So that's what we're trying to do here at Boundaries with. So you don't crash. You find the error in your ways. You give the direction that me and Doc give. It's not basically therapy. It's also coaching, but Doc does do professional therapy on the side because that's his practice, right?
Yeah.
We have street knowledge, receipts, everything both combined that you will never get anyplace else. In fact, a lot of people have tried. Nobody can do it. And now, it's what society has changed. Now, whether you change with society to make it worse is going to be up to you, for you, your kids, and the family and people that they come in contact with. Because we see them every day at Real Talk. We see them every day from men that just, when I look at them, like, what? Right?
Yeah.
But let's go into segment number 2, Doc, because we can go on for just this one topic.
Yeah. So going into the next part, right? So what does the poor mental health look like, right? So I mentioned some of the things before that we could say are pretty obvious, right? So of course, if you're on drugs, you're drinking, you're involved in the criminal justice system, things of that nature, right? Like those things, domestic violence, all those things like that, right? Obviously homelessness, like those are some, end results of poor mental health. But what it could also look like and mask itself as is, I'm this overachiever, right? Or I'm trying to be really, really successful, or I'm trying to meet everybody's needs in my life, right? My wife, my kids, my friends, the organization, everything like that, as I sacrifice myself, right? And guys like that look like the best guys ever, right? Just those 3 guys, right? The guy that tries to do for everybody, the guy that's really successful. He started business after business. He's making a lot of money, things like that. It looks like, oh yeah, they got it all together, but and on the surface, it's good, right? And with good mental health, nothing wrong with that stuff, right? With good mental health, nothing wrong with that stuff. But underneath the surface, I can almost guarantee there's some hint of I'm not enough. Nobody cares because I'm not going to ask for help, right? So there's depression underneath, there's anxiety underneath, there's fear underneath, there's anger underneath. There's some people that because their beliefs they have, maybe they can get a lot of women. It's like, oh man, he's a Casanova. Look at him. Oh man, he can get all these women. He can get them, but he can't keep them, right? Yeah. And then when he does get a good woman, guess what he ends up doing? Because of the beliefs he has inside of his head, he pushes her away. And then now he has a narrative like, oh man, nobody wants me. Or we creating that narrative, right? So again, on the surface, these things look good. Like, oh, he could talk to any woman, or man, he could make a lot of money, or he's doing this, or he's so helpful, and all those things. And what you don't know underneath the surface is that, there's deep-seated issues underneath of I'm not enough, or imposter syndrome, or all these things underneath that look like good mental health, but it's not. And then if you look a little bit deeper, you'll see some of the struggles in their relationships. You'll see some of the struggles in different areas. You'll see that they can't connect. They can't open up. Never want to open up and talk to somebody and share what's going on. Right. And unfortunately, there are some of these guys that keep pushing and pushing. They struggle for so long that, and they perpetuate the message that, yeah, you got to go, hustle, 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 grind, 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 and they feel dead on the inside. And unfortunately, some
Cover
of
it
these
up.
guys end up taking, they
Yep.
unaliving themselves, right?
Yep.
And then you're
Yep.
sitting back wondering what happened. He was so happy. He was this.
Yep.
He was that. Oh, what
All fake.
happened? It was we're so such surprised, or and it's like, yeah, nah, he wasn't. That was poor mental health. Nobody saw this guy should have took a break. Nobody told him, hey man, you need to chill. And nobody told him that, hey, all this people pleasing you're doing is not good. Nobody told him that, hey, you got enough money already, man. What are you going for? You're abandoning your family. For what reason? Like, no one's stepping in to say, because the signs are all there. And that's the thing. The signs are all there. Are we taking time as other men in community, if we're even in community, Gordon? Because there's a lot of guys that isolate, right? And their favorite saying is, I'm fine, I'm good, everything's good, I'm great, I'm fine. They isolate and they're struggling, right? And we also got to make sure we too on the other side, if we're asking that question, we're actually being legitimate, right? We're not just saying that as a pleasantry. We're actually really mean, like, hey, bro, how are you doing? Right? Because those signs are there. So that poor mental health could look like good mental health. It could look like success. It could look like, oh, he's a present father. He's a present husband. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's a provider, protector. Oh, it could look like that, but you don't know what the struggle is on the inside. And I promise you, we're humans. We're humans. Everybody has something going on, some type of thought, some type of feeling, especially if you have poor mental health, especially if it comes to self-worth. It's like, dang, I don't feel like I'm enough. So maybe if I make more money, maybe if I sacrifice myself more, maybe if I cut off more piece of myself, and maybe if I start more businesses, then maybe I'll finally be enough. And the fact of the matter is, you will never be enough, because you'll never be enough using that, right? Seeking that outside external validation. You'll never be enough seeking that. And so then all you're doing is perpetuating the same cycle, because that voice inside your head says, yeah, no, it's not enough. Oh, anybody could do that. Okay, who cares? Okay, so you start a $100 million business. Why isn't it $1 billion business? Other people do $1 billion business. Like, these are thoughts that really go through these guys' heads.
Right.
Right.
I've been one. Yeah. I've done that. I've done it.
So, thoughts of, oh yeah, if you're a real man, your wife wouldn't have to work, or oh man, your kids, or every so and so doesn't have to take time off. Why are you? So all these thoughts go through our head, and it just perpetuates that same poor mental health. And it ties again back to when we're younger, being dismissed. We learn that our thoughts and feelings don't matter, and nothing we do will ever be enough. And Gordon, like you said, we carry into adulthood. So literally nothing that you do will ever be enough, because that's the belief that you got from your parents, right?
Yeah.
That nothing you could do would please them. Nothing you could do would get them that attention. Nothing you would do would get them that validation, or that or acceptance. Nothing you could do. I remember I was listening to this one story, and this guy, I forgot if he was Indian or whatnot, but he was waiting for his father to just validate him, and no matter how good he did, his father would not validate him. And even when he graduated from college, I don't know if he wanted to be a doctor or something, or whatever he was going into, the father wouldn't even really acknowledge him. The guy ended up, I think he ended up by getting on drugs or something like that, and ended up passing away, right? Because nothing he did was ever be good enough. And that's a lot of us have the exact same training from when we're younger. So seeking that external validation, again, that's that sign of that poor mental health, until you could look at yourself and say, you know what, now I'm good. I don't need to make another dime. I can say no. I can lose relationships. If they don't like it, because I'm setting boundaries, and that's just what it is, right? Now we're moving into good mental health, because that's what good mental health starts doing. And I don't want to jump all the way into it, because I want to give that its own space. But what I'm saying is that poor mental health could look like good mental health. And there's a lot of men out there with poor mental health, but it looks like good mental health, because I make money, I provide for my family, I come home, I'm only deal with one woman at a time, so I'm not cheating, like it looks like that. but it's not really good mental health. You got to look at the deeper part. Why am I doing this? What's the purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing? Am I doing it because that's I'm a good, loving person and I love people, I really want to see them succeed? Or am I scared that they're going to see that I'm an imposter? Or I'm scared they're going to reject me? Or I'm scared they're going to remove love? Or I'm scared I'm going to be dismissed and invalidated again and again and again? And I'm going to experience that same hurt. Because, Gordon, like you said, we are that, and until you heal from what happened between the ages of 0 and 10, until you heal from that, you will stay in that spot. Your brain will not let you go. You will be held hostage to a moment in time where you had no resources, no help, no validation, no nothing. And until you go back and tell your younger version of yourself, like, hey, listen, I got it. We're good now. They don't have power over us like that anymore. We can say no. We can fight back. We can set boundaries. We can say enough is enough. We can love ourselves. We don't have to seek their validation. What I'm doing is enough. I don't have to prove anything to you, mom, or to you, dad, or to anybody else. As long as I'm good with me, and if those of faith, good with God, that's it.
That's all that matters.
Man, the level of freedom you have when you get to that point is insane. I cannot stress enough how much freedom, how much weight comes off your shoulders when you stop trying to live for everybody else and just start living for yourself and knowing that, hey, listen, I'm good. I love myself. I don't need that external validation. I don't, and you start breaking those chains and going like you were saying, you start breaking those beliefs that have kept you trapped for so long. And instead of you saying I'm not enough, you say, no, I am enough. And I don't need anybody else to tell me that I'm enough. I already know I'm enough. So if this woman doesn't want me because she thinks, oh, I'm not making enough money, or I'm not doing, that's fine. You know, that's a win-win for me. That saves me time. If you don't think I'm enough, then please go find someone who's enough, right? Hey, if I got enough money, you know, because I can take care of my family and everything like that, that's good. You know, oh, but if you're a real man, you would make more money. Well, I guess I'm not a real man, right? So you go off and be a real man, abandon your family, abandon your morals. You go do that. Be that real man, and I'm going to go love my wife, and I'm going to go spend time with my kids, and I'm going to make sure they don't go through what I went through, having an absentee father because he had to work, or because he couldn't hold together, or because he got stuck on the bottle, or because he didn't know how to communicate in a relationship. So I'm going to go ahead and break those cycles. You go ahead and keep recreating them, right? That's the point. That's what I'm talking about. That's the point I'm talking about, right? And we can get you to that point. You don't have to be stuck in that mode anymore. You don't have to be stuck in creating the same generational patterns over and over again. We talk about generational curses and the devil's on our family or genetics. No, I just got to stop everybody right there. I'm going to stop everybody right there, right? It's not the devil. It's not the devil. Listen, he has way more important things to do than deal with you and your family. It's not the devil. It's not genetics. Maybe people can be predisposed to certain things, but it's not genetics. I'm going to tell you this right now. If it's the fault, it's the issues, it's the environment, it's the behaviors, the consistent behaviors that you said, the death by 1,000 cuts, Gordon. It's that death by 1,000 cuts. Every no that you said when you could have said yes. Every dismissal when you could have just listened and validated, right? Over and over. The neglect when they want to spend time with you and you kept saying, no, not now, not now, not now, not now, not now. And you want to wait till they're 16, 17. Oh, let's hang out. What? No, I don't want to hang out with you. Not now. Not now. Not now. You know, oh, my kids don't like me. Of course they don't like you. You've been hurting them their whole life.
All the time.
You've been hurting their whole life. What do you expect? It's no different. I want you to put yourself in your kids' shoes. And I want you to say for 10 to 15 to 20 years of being invalidated and dismissed over and over and over and over again, having no voice over and over and over and over again. And you tell me how close you're going to be to that person. Don't let anyone fool you. Think like blood's what does it. Blood means absolutely nothing. Blood just means that we share the same DNA. It does not guarantee you a relationship. I'm going to say it one more time. Blood only means that we share the same DNA. It does not guarantee you a relationship. It does not entitle you to a relationship.
Ooh, I was just about to say, it doesn't entitle you to anything. Yep.
It does not entitle you to a relationship, and it does not entitle you to respect. I'm going to say it one more time for those in the back and for my older gentlemen and any older people listening, because you think, oh, well, I'm old, so they should just respect me, or I'm their elder, they should respect me. And doesn't the Bible says to respect your elders? You have to be worthy of respect. I need you to understand that when the Bible talks about that, those elders are people who respected those other people, right? Job was an elder. You want to talk about elders. Job was an elder. And Job was respected because the type of man he was. And you look at his pedigree, and most people can't even touch Job. And most of y'all have no business asking for respect at all because you don't give it yourself, and you never have. So I'm going to say it one more time. You have to build a relationship. If you're not building the relationship, there's not going to be a relationship. But to start building the relationship, you have to start taking responsibility for the failings that you had and start fixing them and apologizing so that you can start moving forward. Right? Because this is all part of fixing that mental health. Once I get myself right, part of NA and AA is recognizing, once I start recognizing that, dang, I've made a mistake. Well, I think steps 4 and 5 I think 4 is making a fearless list of all the offenses that you've done, all the people you hurt. That's not easy. I've worked with people that went through that program. That making that list is extremely difficult because it's all the ugly you've done. It's all the ugly you've done to people who've done nothing but love you, right? And then the 5th one is then now you got to go make amends. I think the 5th one's even go make amends, all right? But that's hard.
That's so very
I'm not
hard.
saying, So I'm not saying it's easy, guys, but if you really want to start fixing that poor mental health, it starts with taking up responsibility for your actions and behaviors and then doing something different and start changing it. That's where it starts. If you're not willing to take responsibility, if you're not willing to own that, own where it came from, own what you did to hurt people, and then start apologizing and making amends, then you're not gonna. It's not gonna work. You can't skate by it. You can't be like, well, it's too late now. My kids already don't talk to me. Listen, it's never too. If you're alive and they're alive, and guess what? You can go back and say, you know what, son, daughter, I messed up. I shouldn't have done that. I was wrong. You deserved better. You deserved a father that would love you and care about you and listen to you and pour into you. You deserve that. And they may not respond. They may not answer. And don't make excuses. Oh, well, but your mom. Oh, but the economy. Oh, but Trump. Oh, but Biden. But the white man or the black man. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's all on me. Regardless of all that stuff, it's all on me. I wasn't there for you like you needed. That's where you start. When you start doing that, and you do it from a place of pure love and honesty, then you're gonna start seeing the walls start come down, and you start changing. Then you start changing your behaviors, right? Because to change your beliefs, you gotta start changing your behaviors so you can reinforce the new beliefs. Right. So I've definitely got ahead of myself, Gordon. Obviously you can say I'm passionate about the topic.
Doc was I'm letting Doc talk because the pain points, the silent struggles that you might be going on because we went over this. We went over the lone wolf trap. Society tells us that asking for help, burdening others is like carrying say 1,000 pounds on your backpack that you're gonna keep carrying on. Eventually, you're gonna fall and break down, and it's gonna ruin everything else that you got done because the pain points that you might be going through is going to be exhausting. It's just like you pretending you have it all figured out when you really don't. And you're going to making excuses for everything else. And you could be secretly drowning in all these sorrows, the sins, these past traumas that you have. Like I said, the death of 1,000 cuts. Maybe you didn't do the accountability for yourself. You didn't figure it out. But you got to understand, it's not your fault either because it could be passed on from your mom. I had to figure this out all on my own too. And then number 2, the performance treadmill that we've been going over all this. You cannot tie your self-worth, your entire self-worth into saying, oh, just because I made how much money I made. Or how many, like Doc said, how many companies I build, or how many women you sleep with, or the pain point hits when the job fails or when you can't even do it anymore. What happens when you can't do it and you change as a person, as an individual? Because you say you couldn't provide, you couldn't happen, you broke your leg, you could this. If you're the same person, you're okay with yourself, you can go on just like nothing even happened. And then back to the case where dismissing yourself, the accountability, like the big thing with me and my kids is when they ask me to do something, I try never to dismiss them. I said, give me 5 minutes. Then they'll come back. Then we'll go do the thing because I don't want to tell them no. because
Yes.
know how many no's you're going to be told in your life. It's just like you going to your manager, hey, what, or your union steward, when we're going to start getting our raise. About the 10th time you stop giving up, you ain't going to do shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
True.
or asking for the promotion. What I'm going to do for the promotion? You keep telling no, or this and that, and you get bypassed or not even included. You
That's
know,
true.
and
That's
then
very
it's going to be the third one going to be like the numbing process. You don't know how to process your anger, the grief, the anxiety, the fear. So you numb the stuff, right?
yep.
I've done it with
Yep.
dope, the validation, doing things to get accepted. You know what I mean? Other things, the relentless hours at the gym, because that's your new addiction. That's your new drug. That's your new validation. You know, the wake of destruction, you don't even know you're doing it, because like how men get divorced and all of a sudden they want to go to the gym and get in shape. They just dive as a right. I can tell. Look at Doc's eyes, right? Oh, you distance your kids, you blow up your marriage, and I've done all of these stuff myself. That's just how I know the mentality of it, because
Um,
you will go through it. You're gonna get new clothes. You're gonna run women. You're gonna sell women. You're gonna give them the whole light of day story, all because you covering up all your insecurities that you've done, because you never had the accountability first, even the know-how. You know what I mean? This is
yeah.
why we talk about receipts and having the backbone, the scar tissues that you have, because for us to have this, to give somebody a coaching advice, professional advice, you've had to been there in a way and figured it all out, not just getting outside help, but actually implementing and point for fixing it. Basically, right? Doc, you could tear your ACL, get it work, go to the gym, get stitched up. But when it comes down to your head and your emotional stability, what can you do? Right? If your mind starts slipping, you know what I
Yep.
mean, what's going to happen? Oh, I can't go to Doc, I can't go to Gordon because I feel shame. I mean, you refuse to treat your emotional and mental stability, all because you can handle it on your own. I've done that too. It does not work. You mean with the mechanical things that your body can do? Yeah, you can get repaired, you can get Tommy John surgery, you can get chiropractic. But what about your mental and emotional stability help for the people that care about you in this instance right now? And that's why we're so passionate about it. You can hear it in my voice, right? And this is where a lot of people think that. In fact, I did this, Doc. So I took the kids skating last week.
Yeah.
Roller skating, right? Every year I go roller skating to see, because I know one day I won't be able to do it, like because of my knees or my physical ability, right? So one of the guys that used to work at Valley at Cosmo, he's like the manager there now, right? And he goes, Gordon, thank you for doing your podcast, because it kept me going through his divorce.
Mm.
He goes, come back anytime. I'll get you guys in, whatever's right. So it's like, it's like our consistency here is for
Yeah.
you men watching this, whether it's live, the replay on the short, the clip on IG, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, everything. It's all streaming. And now that we have a community where you can voice your opinions, you can join the link, you know what I mean? And then this was where you can have the respect of yourself, to have your self validity, let me slow down, your self validation, so that you can be okay with yourself. Like Gary Vee says it. He envies the people that make a certain amount of money for you, take a couple vacations a year, but are happier than shit. They don't have all the money in the world, but they're the happiest shit because of what Doc said. Doc said the most happiest people is the one that don't seek validation and are okay with themselves. And then you look at all these guys on YouTube, all the alpha males that's getting crashed and burned right now, like it's
Mhm.
no tomorrow. They're falling like dominoes, and they're getting
Absolutely.
exposed because
Yeah.
you cannot sustain the ego. And it happened to my personal friend. In fact, the only guy helping him out is like his girl and us.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's one of those things, that stigma of basically you're using everything else, but instead of trying to fix yourself. And I've done that too, right?
Mm.
Doc, we went off on that one. What's going to be the last one?
Well, I think it's important for us to talk about, and I'm going to give y'all a bonus too. Hopefully, I don't forget it. But the first thing I want to talk about before we wrap everything up, is not the first thing, but is I want to talk about what good mental health looks like. right?
Yep, absolutely.
Because I know we talked about all the bad stuff and everything like that, but what good
Yes.
mental health looks like. All right. So good mental health, first and foremost, looks like I'm not seeking external validation from anybody else.
Yep.
Like know your value, know your self-worth. You don't seek it from anybody else, right? That's the foundation of good mental health. If you don't have that foundation, you do not have good mental health. No, but Keith, you understand, I know how to breathe. You do not have good mental health. No, but Keith, I know mindfulness and I can do yoga. You do not have good mental health. But you don't understand, I'm a therapist and I help all these people. You do not have good mental health. If you do not have and know your self-worth, you do not have it. Because if you don't know your self-worth, then guess what you're not going to do? You're not going to be able to be yourself, first and foremost. You're not going to be able to express yourself. Right? You're going to seek validation for that worth, external validation, which is going to compromise you in some way, shape, or form, which is going to make you feel bad, which you're not going to really deal with, right? Because to deal with it means you have to go back to the self-worth issue, and you're not dealing with that, right? So the first foundation thing is you must know your true worth, your true value, right? That's the first step. If you know that, you're ahead of the game. And if someone asks, like, well, Keith, well, how do you know if you really value yourself? You really know your self-worth, right? If you really know your self-worth, I want you to think of it like this. If you know the value of something, how do you treat that thing? If I have a gold bar, or no, let me not use a gold bar, my car. I know the value of my car, not just the financial value, but I also know the emotional value of it. So what do I do with that thing?
Yep.
I keep it safe. No one can drive it. I don't park it near other people. I wash it on a monthly basis. Make sure I have a ceramic coating on it. I do enhancements to it. I take care of it. That's how you know the worth of a thing. Are you doing that for yourself? Are you setting up boundaries? Are boundaries for your energy, boundaries for your time, boundaries for your money? Are you doing that? Right. And doing it the right way, not as ultimatums, but like, hey, this is how I want to be treated because I know my value, my worth. Like I tell a lot of the women I work with, like, you if you really know your value and your worth, and you can't just be giving your body to every man that comes your way. Right. You can't do that. If you know your value and your worth, right, you can't do that. Right. So I say all that to say, knowing your value and your worth is the foundational step to making sure you have good mental health. The next thing is being able to understand your emotions and regulate your emotions. That's the second phase, right? Second step, right? Because it's one thing to, okay, I know my value, my worth, my emotions are still all over the place. Okay. Now you're not going to know how to regulate them. That's where knowing how to, knowing what the emotions mean and how to respond to them is important. That's when the breathing comes in. That's when the mindfulness and the meditation and those things come in. So once you get that stuff and you start really knowing it, then you start processing emotions like that. I'm talking about quick. This is not an exaggeration. Outside of sadness and grief, because that's a whole nother topic for another time. But those are the only emotions you cannot process right away, because that process, it just takes time, because you're learning how to do without whatever that thing you lost. Sadness and grief comes from loss. I've lost something, and I'm not going to be able to get it back. So now I need to learn how to live without that thing. And it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier. You just have to learn how to live with that loss now. Like if someone loses a leg, life doesn't get easier as time goes on. You just learn how to live without that leg now. So outside of that, though, all your emotions, anxiety, simple message, threat coming or potential threat coming. Do we have the capacity to handle it? Yes or no? That's it. That's all anxiety asks you. Don't ask you nothing else. Yes, I got it. I can handle it. No, I don't. Got to prepare. That's it. That's it. Right. So once you start having that emotional language and understanding what it means and stop running from it, that's a big thing, right? A lot of us as guys like, oh man, we don't know what to do with emotions, so just stuff them down and let's be stoic and be alpha and all that. Garbage, right? Garbage, right? No, a real man knows the full range of his emotions and knows how to deal with them. That's what a man does, right? A real man doesn't stuff them down and then just hide and pretend like they don't exist. That's not what they do, right? So making sure you have the skills to regulate yourself and regulate your emotions, right? And then I want to say the third step is really, I'm trying to think about it, man, because once you get those two, honestly, your
Pretty
mental
much.
health at that point, really, I
You're
wouldn't
in
say
control.
maintenance at that point, honestly. Like you're working out, you're taking care of your body, you're maintaining yourself, you're having positive relationships, obviously, again, the boundaries, you have the boundaries set up, you enforce them, right? When they're violated, you enforce them, you teach people what their boundaries are. If they keep violating, you cut those people out or push them away until they get it right. Like, and then you start living life and you start having peace and start living at peace with all men. And I don't have to be super aggressive, right? I don't have to be all big in the chest and things. I don't got to do that, right? I can regulate myself and then slow things down and make a better decision, because I'm not saying you're not going to feel. What I'm saying is you're going to feel, learn what to do with it. Right? Make the right choice. Slow down and know what to do with whatever it is you're feeling so you can make better choices and get better outcomes. Right? So I would say that's what good mental health looks like, right? It looks like I can give to others out of my abundance, right? Out of the energy I do have, but I'm not cutting parts of myself off. Right? Like like you were saying, the guy, he gets divorced and he goes to the gym and starts working out and getting in shape. Bro, why didn't you do that beforehand? That's probably why you had so many issues in the first place, right? You were probably stressed the heck out, didn't know what to do with yourself. And instead of setting those boundaries and say, hey, I'm going to the gym, and getting yourself together, you cut pieces of yourself off and let yourself go. There's too many of us as men that think like I have to sacrifice myself in order to be the leader I need to be. Says who? Again, the lies of this world keep us stuck, right? No, you don't have to cut yourself off. You need to be your authentic self fully. If she met you while you were working out, then guess what? You need to keep working out. My wife met me while I was working out, and for the last 20 years, guess what I've been doing? Working out.
It's part of it.
That's it. So I say all that to say there's other things as well, video games as well. She met me playing video games. Guess what I still do? And what I'm going to do after I'm done here? I'm going to go play video games. That's what I'm going to do, right? If she didn't like it then you probably shouldn't have been with me. But for whatever reason, we sacrifice ourselves, and that, again, it's a sign of poor mental health, right? I have to give up myself in order to appease everybody else. No, good mental health says, I'm not giving up myself to appease anybody. If you want to be in my presence, you want to be in my circle, this is how I run and how I roll. If you don't like that, then you don't have to be in my circle. Like no harm, no foul, mom, dad, brother, sister, friends, whatever. But if you don't like how I operate, then you don't have to be in my circle. That's fine. I respect you for that, right? Because guess what? Right. If I don't like how you operate, I don't want to have to be in your circle. So that's what good mental health looks like. There's no resentment, right? If you're holding on to resentment, you don't have good mental health. I'm sorry. If you're holding on to resentment and, I can't believe what they did to me, and, I can't believe my mom or my dad or the system or this. If you're holding on to resentment, you do not have good mental health. You got to process that stuff and let it go. You got to learn how to forgive, have compassion, set boundaries, and operate in excellence. And if you're doing that, then you have good mental health. So I'm saying all this to say, if you have good mental health, you got to make sure your self-worth is on point, your emotion regulation, your recognition and regulation. And then there's that level of maintenance that you're doing at all times to make sure that you stay in that good mode. Because people say like, oh man, I had a bad day. Oh man, it was a bad week. It was bad. Bad. And then you ask them the question, it's like, tell me about what made this entire week bad or this entire day bad. Oh, this one moment in time that took, maybe 5 minutes, and then it just ruined the entire day. Like, what? I had an argument with my wife. Oh, the whole day is ruined. The whole weekend's ruined. What? How? I'm not computing. You're telling me the entire week was ruined off a 5-minute conversation? Off a argument that if you communicated properly or just stepped away from, you would have been fine. So I tell people, I don't have bad days. I don't have bad weeks. I don't have bad months. I don't. I just don't. Right? If something happens, I know my self-worth. I emotionally regulate. I recognize and regulate. Hey, can I do something about it? Or can I not do something? I can do something about it. Great. I'm going to do something about it. If I can't, well, I can't. Right? And then I just maintain. Just this past, we talked about it in a couple of episodes ago. I talked about in April when I came back from that conference, that Dr. Eric Thomas conference, when I came back and I was running crazy and I was completely and totally overwhelmed. Like it was weighing on me. But guess what happened? I know my self-worth.
Figured it out.
Okay, I know, hey, I don't like how this feels. So that depression started setting in. And mind you, not depression like the world tries to define it, like, oh, it's sadness. And no. That's not depression. That's not depression. Is simply overwhelmed. Think of the word depressed, to press down. How does something get pressed down? It is overwhelmed. No. So because I know what that means, guess what that meant? I started evaluating what's going on in my life that's making me feel overwhelmed. Okay, I got all these little projects, these little side things. I got Duolingo. I got this other video. I'm like, okay, I don't want any of that stuff. Shut these things down, right? Let's finish those projects, wrap them up, and we're not taking anything else on right now. Oh, Duolingo, erase. I don't want to see no more notifications from you because that's stressing me out. This little online game, hey, guys in the guild, hey, I'm out of this, man. Hey, find me a replacement, and I'm gone because I understood what the emotion was telling me. My brain was saying, hey, you got too much on you, man. Take that stuff off. We can't do this. And so guess what happened? I did that, and guess what? Depression gone. Boom. Overwhelm gone. So knowing this, so I practice what I preach, and then, but that only comes if you do it in this way. If you have your self-worth, because if I didn't know my self-worth, you know what I would say, Gordon? Oh, you're being weak. You're not being the old real man would just keep going. Oh my gosh, other people do so much more than you. Oh man. Oh, you're being no. I don't care what other people do. I don't care, sir. If you do 1 billion things a day, God bless you, bro. Yeah, Elon Musk, you probably do way more than me. God bless you, bro. But guess who I'm not? I'm not Elon Musk. I'm Dr. Keith Anthony Fairclough. So I'm going to do what Dr. Keith Anthony Fairclough does, not what Elon Musk does, right? And Dr. Keith Anthony Fairclough says he doesn't want all this pressure on him. So what do? I learn what I got to do. I move those things aside, and I keep it pushing, right? I keep it pushing. And now I feel phenomenal. I feel great. So I say all to say, if you know how to regulate your emotions and maintain and recognize what's going on in your body at all times and have your self-worth, you don't have bad days. You don't have bad weeks. You don't have bad months. You might have little blips. But because you're not allowing yourself to be dragged into a fight,
small situations.
Yeah, situations. But I'm not allowing myself to be dragged into a fight. There were situations that not throw my wife under the bus or anything like that. But I'm saying there have been times when we got into stuff and she started to get escalated, and I didn't get escalated, and she kept going. And I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm about to get escalated, so I'm gonna step out. Right. So guess what? Now I'm not escalated. Now I go on to work out, play video games, hang out with the boys, watch TV, go live life, go to work, and I'm good, right? I didn't cuss her out. I didn't do anything like that. I just said, hey, I can't do this because I know what my level is, that emotional regulation, Gordon. I know what my level is. I'm reaching it, so I'm not going to do that. So I got to step away. I don't hate you or nothing like that. I'm not talking bad about you, but I cannot take this anymore. I have to step away. So, gentlemen, when it comes to getting your good mental health, that's what you need. Your self-worth. All you need is that validation from yourself, emotional recognition and regulation, and then learn how to maintain that at all times through all the things we've talked about, again, working out, meditation, all those things like that. Learn how to recognize what state you're in at all times. And then now, Gordon, because I know we're coming up close to time, but I did want to leave him with a bonus. Right? If you stuck with this for this long, here's the bonus, right? Your mind is probably the most powerful device that you have in your arsenal, right?
Absolutely.
Because the way you think and the way you perceive things and what you focus your mind on, you literally can change your genetic structure. It can change your health. It can change your body. It can help fight off diseases. And in some cases, it can actually heal certain diseases. I know it's like, Keith, you're okay. Now you're into that pseudos, and now you're into this, now you're into that. Listen, I'm just telling you what was told to me and what people experience, and then also what I experienced myself as well, right? I when I say I rarely get sick, I cannot tell you the last time I was sick. To be 100, like really, really sick, down and out, I can't tell you the last time I really was. Someone for years. I really can't. And I'm not just saying that either. Ask my kids, ask my wife. You can ask them. If you know them, you can ask them. Send them a text. Hey, how often does your dad get sick? Because he's online capping, right? He out here lying. He got to get sick, right? I get sick at least 3, 4, 5 times a year. They're probably going to tell you, yeah, no, I don't remember the last time he was sick. I remember when all of us in the house were sick, but he didn't get sick. You know, I remember there was a Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book. I forgot which one it was, but he was talking about this town of these people from an island in Italy, and they came over to America, and they had probably some unhealthy lifestyle, right? They're smoking, they're drinking, they're eating fats, all that stuff like that. The rate of heart disease was extremely low, extremely low. Why? Because there was love, there was connection, there was camaraderie, they're spending time together, they're pouring into one another, all that. So when we're talking about making sure this second part, like as far as mental health is concerned, what you think about and how you perceive things, can literally change your health, change your life, right? I mean, the Bible talks about anything that's good, holy, righteous, pure, kind. If there's any virtue in it at all, think on those things. So that positive thinking and shaping things, reframing things in a more positive light, that's also another way where I don't have bad days either, where I not allow my health. Because the way you think, if you're holding on to the resentment, I promise you, it's going to destroy your body. If you hate your ex-wife, or you hate your mom, or hate your dad, or hate whoever hurt you, or things like that, if you're holding on to that, I promise you, it's going to destroy your body. You're going to start getting sicknesses. You're not going to understand why. I run and do all these things. Why am I getting sick? Because your brain is just that powerful. Don't handicap yourself, right? Yep. When it comes to mental health, make sure you're focusing on the things that build you up, that pour into you, the things that are good, the things that bring you life. Focus on those things. And when you focus on those things, I promise you're going to see your outcomes be tremendously different in every single sector of your life.
All right. So, I mean, it makes all sense. But guys, if you're going to, if this hits you, because, this is where the core ethos of our community is all about. I mean, we went over the cracks in the foundation, where it came from, the genetic code that maybe you may not have. You had a childhood you may not have or control over, or even the modern world that's even trying to push you down this rabbit hole. But here's the hard truth of boundaries and brethren, what me and Doc are talking about. It might not be your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix it. We give you the direction, the examples, the courses, the webinars, the workshops, the communities, and so you can be a better community member, a better father, a better partner, a better businessman, a better business owner, a better manager, so that instead of rotting from the inside out, guys, the toughness that you might be presenting is actually taking accountability for the pain that actually gives you the motive to move forward. And when you look at, like Doc said, the accountability, the hard part, you got to do the hard work. You have to put the grit and be able to look in another man's or camaraderie, like Doc said, into a group like this and say, I need some help, and say, I'm struggling and I can't carry this load anymore by myself.
Yeah.
And then we can move in that direction, because the lone wolf pack is not going to work. And that's what we're all about at Boundaries and Brotherhood, because you shouldn't do it alone. You shouldn't be in a dark place alone, so that we can check your hardware, we can check your software, and we can also check your environment. But at the same time, you got to put in the work. And, we can take it this way. I do daily things. There's this thing called YouTube blasts that I do, blog blasts, things that will matter to you because it matters to me, so that I can catch in a situation where you didn't have to fall on this trap. And if you haven't heard from a brother or somebody that's close to you, it might be time to reach out and say, like how I had some people reach out to me, because at the end of the day, we should be in this together. And that's what we made this thing for, right?
Yeah.
Guys, does that make sense, Doc?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Right.
All right, my brothers. Oh, what is this going on over here? There's a comment, because you shouldn't be doing things alone. Guys, this is Gordon Watt from Boundaries and Brotherhood. We'll see you next week. Oh, this is the agenda, right? Guys, workshop at the end of the month. I'm thinking we're going to start doing webinars so you guys can get some action into some of the things so we can start getting the courses. Some of the courses we do offer are going to be free, are in the community. Give me some time to put it all up because I just got it all working. Guys, we'll see you next week. Aloha.
All right. You guys take care. Have a great and blessed day. And yeah, we'll see you next week.